In this presentation, I will discuss technology equity, accessibility, and participation gaps for K-12 students, revealing the digital divide during the COVID-19 pandemic. As stated in ISTE Standard 1, leaders ensure all students have access to the technology and connectivity necessary to participate in authentic and engaging learning activities. To distinguish the difference between technology accessibility and technology equity, accessibility means the available number of technology devices and internet connections in school or at home, whereas equity means that all students possess equal technology opportunities at home and school to achieve their fullest potential, regardless of race, ethnicity, language, gender, disability, or socioeconomic status. After taking the Personal and School Bias Survey, you should have a perspective regarding the prejudice that you and your school district as a whole hold. If you found that there is an elevation or oppression of particular student group characteristics toward another student group, then it is not a leap to determine that these same attitudes and actions will carry forward towards students' technology access and utilization. 3 often overlapping issues, affordability, availability, and adoption, explain the persistence of the digital divide during these times. When schools closed in March 2020, roughly 16.9 million U.S. K-12 students lacked home access to reliable high-speed internet, and 7.3 million did not have access to a technology device, whether a laptop, tablet, or desktop. As noted, 70% of Black and Latino households were without high-speed internet access, and 31% of Black and Latino households were without computers, which led to inequities in learning opportunities. According to a Pew Research Center report, a quarter of low-income households making less than $50,000 a year did not have consistent access to a learning device. Districts also struggled to provide English language learners, students with disabilities, homelessness, and those in foster care with necessary educational services and accommodations during remote learning. In the months that followed, many states and school districts mobilized to connect and enable online learning for their marginalized students using federal CARES Act funding, broadband discounts, and partnerships with private companies. According to the Public Policy Center of the Conference Board, by the end of 2021 academic year, access to devices and the internet was better across all demographic groups. Although many districts made strides to connect families with fast-speed internet and provide devices for students last year, many actions were temporary fixes rather than lasting solutions. Simply offering a list of community and/or business hotspots is an insufficient solution to the access issue for low-wealth families. Additionally, supporting the needs of families with multiple children who may need to consume content simultaneously remained a challenge. According to a June 2021 Pew Center report, 24% of adults with household incomes below $30,000 a year say they do not own a smartphone. 43% of adults do not have home broadband services. 41% do not own a desktop or laptop computer, and 59% are not tablet owners. By comparison, each of these technologies is abundant among households earning $100,000 or more a year. As seen, adult technology adoption varies greatly by income level. On a positive note, looking at teen smartphone ownerships in a 2018 report, does not show a disparity between student groups. 95% of all teens say they own or have access to a smartphone. Thus, smartphone ownership is nearly universal among teens of all races, ethnicities, languages, genders, and socioeconomic backgrounds. Teen girls own smartphones a little more frequently than boys. Smartphone accessibility fuels more frequent internet activity. In the same 2018 report, 45% of teens reported constantly using the internet on their phones, while another 44% say they go online several times a day, which means roughly 9 in 10 teens go online multiple times per day. The question then becomes, how do teens use their smartphones? 57% report gaming as their number one use. 50% regularly watch TV or movies, and 50% communicate often with their family and friends on their phones. However, only 18% of kids complete homework on their smartphones, which was the least popular use. Unsurprisingly, the most popular platforms among teens are social media platforms such as YouTube, Instagram, and Snapchat. Parents expose their children to tablets and mobile phones at an early age. Look at the data that shows when parents thought it was appropriate to buy kids a tablet or mobile phone. While there are great disparities between groups of K-12 internet access and laptop, tablet, and desktop ownership, the percentages of undergrad students who have access to digital technologies are less far-reaching, with 95% owning smartphones and 91% possessing laptops. However, only 4% own AR and VR headsets, and 3% have 3D printers. When it comes to access, practically every undergrad student has access to at least one of the technologies that students identify as among the most important for their academic success. To obtain specific technology access and ownership data on your students and parents, you should survey their internet access and device ownership, as well as equity opportunities at school and home. Providing devices and internet access does not ensure that every student can thrive in an online learning environment. Prior to the pandemic, a number of schools were not regularly using computers as part of their schoolwork, and students who did not previously have devices at home were more likely to have lower computer literacy levels. In a RAND survey, only 51% of teachers said that all or most of their students have age-appropriate skills to navigate successfully the technology necessary for remote learning. The RAND survey also revealed that parents need support with understanding technology utilization for academic use, privacy concerns, and cybersecurity issues that come with their children online. For example, 60% of parents rated themselves an A or B for their technological savviness. Therefore, districts must scale up parent support desks offered in multiple languages to enhance student learning. Closing the digital divide regarding technology accessibility and equity alone, however, does not transform learning. Educators must close the digital use divide or participation gap by ensuring all students, regardless of race, ethnicity, language, gender, disability, or socioeconomic status, understand how to use technology as a tool to engage as an active user in coding, immersive stimulations, media productions, interactions with global experts, and peer collaborations through lifelong learning, rather than as a passive user by simply consuming social media posts and watching TikTok or YouTube videos. Surveying parental and student technology skill proficiencies is also worthwhile, including technology participation gaps. Teachers must consistently provide lessons to engage all students in active technology use. On another issue, A sizable number of students during the pandemic seem to have simply fallen off the grid by not showing up for online or in-person instruction. Sadly, this attendance trend seems to affect disproportionately marginalized student populations. According to one teacher survey, over 50% of K-12 students did not tune in to remote classes. The long-term consequences for these missing students are catastrophic, leaving a large number of kids who are not well prepared for later life. Data collection on all students, including absentees, must measure student engagement with learning platforms and online materials. Tracking a student's amount of time on classwork should be employed to see when students are completing or not completing activities or falling behind with assignments. According to a McKinsey report, the learning loss results during the pandemic are staggering. All students, on average, lost 10 months of learning from March 2020 to June 2021. Students of color were 12 to 16 months behind, compared with 5 to 9 months for white students. Among other students who lost significant learning are students with disabilities and language deficiencies, those in foster homes, and students from families with low income. To address students' learning losses, schools must devise various strategies, such as extending learning hours through mandatory summer or weekend school, as well as structured after-school programs to bring students up to appropriate learning levels. However, having marginalized students attend extended learning opportunities will be an extreme challenge because, in many instances, these are the very students who fell off the grid in the first place. Above all, a holistic approach to education that addresses students' learning and social and economic needs is critical to address technology access, equity, and participation issues for those students from marginalized or vulnerable communities. The Public Policy Center of the Conference Board recommends the following: keep in-person school closures to a minimum, provide high-speed internet in homes, and distribute free electronic devices and digital learning resources. Engage and support students and parents in their understanding of technology utilization for learning, as well as the importance of good school attendance. Meet students, parents, and teachers' socio-emotional needs. Train teachers to improve digital skills for delivering quality remote learning and adapting learning lessons to students' digital abilities and requirements of age-appropriate grade levels. And address learning loss by restructuring the academic calendar to make up school days lost during the pandemic and attract students to expanded summer school and tutoring programs with incentives to attend. In summary, by targeting efforts towards solutions to student technology access and equity barriers, including learning needs, technology-ready school administrators can rise to the leadership challenges that have been so clearly exacerbated throughout the COVID-19 pandemic. Being aware of and eliminating technology barriers is better for everyone because all students' lives will be enriched and society as a whole will positively advance. Reference for the presentation are: thank you for watching this presentation.